Hello there, and today we're going to try and make a jig for cutting shells. Alright, so what I've got a piece of wherever this is, chipboard, OSB. I've got a piece of OSB. I picked up some double-sided tape, a slightly bigger square, or rafter square. I'm going to use some offcuts of the birch ply, or of birch ply, to try and create a nice mould for cutting. Not a mould. This is not fiberglass. To try to create a jig for cutting this shelves for this bike storage, and cutting them all to the same size and square. So a jig is going to help with that. Basically, I want to be able to repeatedly cut something. It doesn't really matter how wide they are. It just matters that they're all the same width. And that's what I'm struggling with, and making them square. So we're going to try and make a jig for the track saw using this piece, some scrap. I've got some more of this, and we're going to throw them all together. And hopefully that is going to make to cut it nice and square. So you just saw me put these pieces on here and here, and what they are for is there to rest the saw guide on, the track on, not the saw guide, the track, and that's how we're going to get the accurate cuts off this edge of the track. The piece is going to come under here, like I showed at the start, and I'm going to stick the stop on in a second. So what I've got all the shelf blanks out, and they're here. I've just marked up the back edge with an upside down triangle, not upside down, just a correctly round triangle. And basically, I'm going to take the shortest shelf, I'm going to cut that to be the shelf. As you can see, they are different lengths. So yeah, I need to set a shortest shelf because that's going to determine how long everything else is, because you obviously can't cut anything longer, but you can cut things shorter. So that's what I'm going to do. I've got these shelves. I'm going to try and rip down the first one. I've got the first shelf blank. This is the shorter one. The back edge that you saw the triangle drawn on, the back edge is up against this kind of like faux sacrificial fence that's taped to the bench so it doesn't move, he says. So this is kind of our reference. So we're going to reference all of these off. You can see the top of the triangle here. So this is the top sheet, top shelf, I should say. There it is. It's in place. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring this over. I'm going to bring my rail over. And then also I'm going to grab my square, and we're going to use that back shelf. So you can see there the rail is square. And you can see here there's just a small amount of deviation. It's maybe a mil across the whole thing. So I've got a mil here, and then I've got maybe 2.5, 3 down the bottom here. So I'm going to move that along so that I'm cutting square along the edge. So we're going to reference all of our cuts off the very back edge of the piece, and we're going to reference our square cuts. I might have to cut the faces off these as well. We'll see how we go. So I'm going to try and leave the back intact. That's going to be my reference edge. There's no guarantee that any of this is square, to be honest, but we're going to try and get as close as we can to square. Okay, so anti-kickback on this saw is not done by anything intelligent. It's done by this knob here. You can just make it out. So this knob here is controlling the saw and sort of locking it to this centerpiece of channel. But what it means is that when you put the saw on the rail and you don't adjust it, you get this, which you can now see doesn't look great. So it means that you're also going to be, if you don't pull this, so if I now pull it, you see my saw drops on. So this is one of the problems I was facing last week, is I didn't realize this. I thought the moment I put the saw on, it would just go down, it would drop to the rail and be flush. That is not the case. So some of these boards, as well as being not quite square, also have a bevel cut to them, like that, because the blade, as the base is picked up, it's going to pick the blade up and do a cut at this angle. So we have to take that out as well of some of these pieces. Very exciting. It's not great. It's bad. Guys, it's bad. It's a lot better. a lot better. It's a lot straighter. Let's take the thing apart and try to square on it. Okay, all right, so here's the square on it. It's looking fairly square, to be honest. He says it doesn't look that square at all. Okay, so issue was that the fence, so this kind of like temporary fence at the back here, is not square. Who could have seen this coming? So now I've recut something to be less square than it was in the first place. This is a classic move. So I am just going to reference off the main piece. I don't know how this is going to go for repeatability. It's a bit crap for that. But maybe I can make it work, and I can make like a DIY sort of rail square sort of thing using this rafter square and this thing together to make a square cut. So I'm going to try and recut this, and hopefully we're square. Yeah, and then I think we'll go from there. We'll work from there. I might not be able to make the full jig. It might just be a little support for the rail square, because I don't quite have the ability to make a square square fence. So that, yeah, that's where I'm at. So I'm going to reference off the piece again. Like I said before, I'm going to use this back edge. So I've got the square here, got my rail here, and you can see the little difference that I've introduced. So I've managed to make it unsquare the other way. So I've got to just rip this small amount off here. So it was previously square, unsquare in the other direction, and I've just unsquared it in a different direction. So take two here. I'm going to reference off the edge here. So this is the same edge we were talking about earlier on that has the arrow on it. So there you go, there's part of the arrow. I'm going to reference off that edge and just use the fence so I can push the piece of ply against something as I cut to try and stop it from squirming. Classic. Okay, so one of the issues that I'm having as well is, you can see this is just on some sawhorses. So as I get towards the end of a cut, this piece is sliding, which is causing me some problems. Really, I need a proper table, but it's not going to happen for a while. So I've got a square and a piece of wood, and if you look along the edge here, they are the same. They are the same. Guys, I've done it. I've done what some considered impossible. I've created a right angle on a piece of wood. This piece of wood now has a 90-degree here, all the way nice and flush, and a 90-degree on the other side. You know what? Mind-blowing stuff here, guys. Absolutely mind-blowing. Look at this. You know what? It's pretty close. It's a little bit out, but we can take half a mil out, if that, in this project. Otherwise, if I keep chasing it down like this, I'm going to go insane. There's this little segment off here. Dimensionally, I now have two boards that are, believe it or not, very similar. I'm not sure what's going on in the middle here, but this is the back. I've selected this as the back of the piece. Dimensionally, they are very similar dimensionally, which is so exciting, because it means that this thing is not going to be totally on the piss and like this or like that. It's going to be straight, which is what a cabinet should be. So now I've come down to this. We're making a 440 wide cabinet. It started off as a 450, and it's come down to a 447, then a 442, now a 440. We're going to make a cabinet instead of... Currently, it just feels like the battle is making things square. There are 1,000 better ways to do it than what I've done here. I'm very aware of that. Most of them involve something more advanced than OSB with a fence taped to it. Generally speaking, it's more advanced than that, but I don't have anything more advanced than that. So here we are. This is the level we're at, so we're going to off-race it. But we're getting square cuts now. The rafter square helps a lot. It's really nice. It's very good. It's very big, and it has a very good edge to reference off, which is very nice. nice strong edge, which is going a long way to making these things square. I'm getting slightly better at measuring things as well, which helps. But yeah, all good.